Hello everyone, Melanie here with CGL Recruiting. So what is word stuffing? And as a job seeker, should you do it? We're going to talk about that today. I can't believe how many questions I'm getting about word stuffing from people, and I kind of thought this is something that had already kind of been put to bed. But let's walk through it today. Now, before we start, if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to our channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me that thumbs up if you feel this information is helpful. So, what exactly is word stuffing? That is when you take your resume or your cover letter or your LinkedIn profile and you hide words in the document, usually by turning the font to white, so it does not show up on the page. And you just put every single keyword that you can possibly think of that in any way, shape, or form might make a difference for you as a job seeker when somebody is searching through the systems in order to find a candidate. And this is something that is actually quite old. It's not something that's done recently. And it is not something I recommend you do now. And there's a really important reason for it. And I'm going to tell you that. So a lot of times when people back, 10, 15 years ago were doing word stuffing, they were doing it in such a way that they were putting lots of skills and keywords of things that they did not even have, but they still put it out there on their resume and information. You should never, ever lie on a resume or a profile or anything like that. Just don't do it. But let's talk about the other reason why you should not do word stuffing. The way that the applicant tracking systems and the search features work nowadays, when I enter in a keyword into one of those systems that I'm doing a search for it, when I get the search results back, what it shows me is it highlights that word that I put in. So let's say that I put in SAP or Oracle. Well, when it brings back up that profile, or in the applicant tracking systems, when it brings up that person, it highlights every single time that word appears. And so what happens if you do word stuffing? We know HR, the hiring manager, anybody who's looking at that system knows that you did word stuffing. And it's not what you want us to be focused on. You don't want our attention to be pulled to the bottom of your resume where you've got 3 extra pages of words stuffed in, or the same thing on another system. You just don't want to do it. And for those of you that are thinking, oh, well, I just put it at the bottom of my resume when I upload my resume and nobody knows, it doesn't work. And here's why. The applicant tracking systems, most of them, when they upload your data, they ignore all of the different colors that you have. So it doesn't matter if the text is in black or if the text is in blue or red or white, where you think it's clear. All of that data uploads as black text into the system. And once again, if we get a thing that loads in and it's been word stuffed with 2 or 3 extra pages of words, we start to think that maybe you're not as trustworthy as you could be because you're trying to game the system. So I do not recommend word stuffing. I do want to say though, I understand why you're doing it. It is so difficult nowadays, and I'm sorry that the process is such that you feel like just a number and you feel like you have to do all these strategies to get around the systems. And so here's what I'm going to tell you. There is a way to word stuff appropriately, and that is add more data. Just add more data to your resume, but add it in a way where you're not just stuffing words in at the end. Expand out what you've done in each of the positions. Expand your bullets to be words that are going to be something that I and other HR people are going to actually search for, as opposed to just filler words. So for example, when you're putting I worked on a project, I would much rather have you put I worked on a global project focused on ERP implementation for the accounting and finance function across 12 companies. That is stuffed with information that me as an HR person, I'm going to use to pull up when I'm searching for you as a candidate. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.